The difference between being a winner and a loser could be as exacting as that. A prayer answered for the Commanders. Joe Musso alongside the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden here to talk winners and losers. Mac, I mean, we could just talk about this game for another hour for all that we saw, even in just that last play. Your biggest winner, though, anywhere on the board Sunday is who?
The Commanders.
Okay.
That play alone, sorry, Joe. Sorry to all the Bears fans, but the Commanders, they're my biggest winner, and here's why. In a moment where the numbers says you should lose, analytics says you don't have a shot to win the ball game. Only
Common
2 seconds
sense.
left.
Common sense says you should lose.
Yes, 2 seconds left on the clock. You're nowhere in field goal range to attempt a field goal. You got to try a Hail Mary. The name of the play is Hail Mary, meaning you're leaving it all on the line and wishing upon a star. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. In that case, they got a lucky deflection in their favor, and they won a ball game they were not supposed to win. So the domino effect for the Commanders is you're basically 2 seconds away from being 5-3. In a very, very vulnerable spot in your division with the Philadelphia Eagles playing some pretty inspired football. But because you found a way to win that ball game, now you're 6-2 atop of your division. Think about that. 2 seconds in a 2-second span. You either could have won a game or lose a game and walk away like, man, we had an opportunity. But you fought, you executed, and now you're sitting 6-2 with a little wiggle room for a few blemishes here or there.
You said it's better to be lucky than good sometimes. How about being lucky and good? Because this is a Commanders team that has been really solid this season, and they have their first moment of luck added to it. I mean, this quarterback in Jaden Daniels has been spectacular. He proves it again. And the framing of this one is obviously the top overall pick versus the second overall pick. Your biggest loser on Sunday?
Same game.
Okay, I said we could talk about this game, but I didn't say we should talk about this
Same game, different name. It's the Chicago Bears. This was a game you're supposed to win. When you factor in everything that took place in the ball game, the Commanders controlled the ball game for the majority of the game, and your defense kept you within reach, and you finally got a hold of the scoreboard. In 2 seconds, you had to prevent a 60-yard touchdown. When you talk about the ball being in the air at least 60 yards, you have to prevent that from happening. We don't usually see Hail Marys completed. You know why? Because they're difficult. They're hard to do. So squandering a game you're supposed to win is going to hurt. It's going to sting for quite some time, because these are the moments where you look back on when you get to late December and say, that was where we missed that opportunity. So the domino effect for the Bears is the total opposite from what I explained with the Commanders. You had an opportunity of being 5-2. Sitting right where you need to sit within your division, which is the most competitive division in football as we see it right now. But because you missed out, you did not execute, you weren't dialed in, now you're 4-3, dead last in the NFC North. And you haven't reached the divisional scheduling part of your season yet, where things will get a bit sticky and dicey when you look at how difficult your division is.
This could very easily, as we sat here and talked about throughout the recap of the game, this could very easily be the jumping off point for some finger pointing in that Bears locker room. They need to not let it be that if they want to make this just a loss and not a loss and a half or 2 losses or a losing streak. Let this bleed over into their Week 9 matchup. How do they keep from doing that? Because you see a defensive back pre-snap taunting people in the stands, probably had an assignment back there at the jump point. You see a coaching staff that maybe put their team in a less than stellar position to succeed. You see a coaching staff and an offensive coordinator handing the ball to an offensive lineman in a key moment of the football game in the fourth quarter. How do you keep from pointing fingers? How do you keep the belief in Chicago? You know what?
When you lose games like this, Joe, you want to play tomorrow to get the taste out of your mouth. But when it comes to keeping the morale around the team upbeat, you got to win your next ball game. You got to win your next ball game. I don't know exactly the schedule for the Chicago Bears, but they just
before divisional football.
They just came off their bye, so clearly they have a game coming up in a few days, well, in a week's time. You got to find a way to win your next ball game, because what you do not want to allow to surface in your building is allowing the Commanders to beat you twice.
That's it.
Because you were dwelling about what just took place in Washington tonight, and next week you still have that bad taste in your mouth and you're still thinking about the what-ifs, and you lose the next game. That's the issue. So when it comes to leadership, there lies their moment to really showcase their leadership ability. We messed up. We squandered away an opportunity. Let's go ahead, get back to the drawing board, study tape, and be better the next time to get back in the winning column.
We've talked about it before that sometimes that leadership figure is a head coach, a la your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Sometimes that leadership figure is a veteran in the locker room. Maybe the latter is the case for Chicago. Depends what head coach Matt Eberflus has to say. His post-game press conference, less than inspiring, I think, is the large Chicago reaction to the words, and here is the bigger picture for those Bears. It is a meeting with the Cardinals in Arizona. You know, wonky things happen when you get on the plane and you go to AZ playing out in Glendale, but I think you said, Mac, this was a Bears let him off the hook. Well,
yeah.
Eddie Green said those words. That was in Arizona.
The late great.
The Bears being let off the hook. So we'll see if they can bounce back week 9 against the Cardinals before meeting with the Patriots across the halfway mark. And then it's Packers, Vikings, Lions on the holiday as divisional football in the North rolls on. All right, time now for a little bit of That's My Guy, giving out a game ball for our favorite guy of the day. And as they get selected, they come off the board. They cannot be selected again. We'll keep an eye. B-Mac might have been double dipping last week.
I did.
Can't
Never.
confirm nor deny. Or no,
Never.
2 weeks ago. You were out and about on me last week. We won't get into it. Who's your guy this week, Mac?
My guy started today's game saying he was coming into the matchup with wavering faith. He left the game saying the same thing. That's Jameis Winston. Starting for the Cleveland Browns, playing against, at the time, one of the hotter teams in the National Football League in the Baltimore Ravens. And his display of faith was highly documented for 4 quarters in this ball game. In a day when he was playing against one of the best players in the National Football League, he outplayed Lamar Jackson. He was more efficient than Lamar Jackson. He was a better playmaker in the ball game over Lamar Jackson. 27 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. As a team, offensively, 8 of 15 on third downs. No one thought Jameis would do this. The only people that believed Jameis could do this was Jameis and his teammates. And you know what? He made a lot of people believers based on what he did today and just the belief that is surrounding him within the organization. Jameis is the ultimate leader. You can like him or not, but when you see what he does and getting the guys to be ready and fired up to go, that goes a long way, and that provides positive results. And they showed up big time today in a much needed win because they have their room for error is at the bare minimum when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. So Jameis, he is my guy for today.
Hey, when you believe, sometimes others, they join you in that belief, and that really came through on what they put on tape. Jameis Winston with 224 passing yards in the second half, more than the Browns starter Deshaun Watson has had in any game this season. Spectacular stuff from the man with win in his name and always a word on his mind. My guy, it might not be the numbers that we saw out of Jameis Winston. It might not be the impact that we saw in other places.
You're going
My
Jaden
guy,
Daniels.
I always cap this segment and I say, B-Mac, you know you're my guy. I'm not saying it today for that. I've maintained a professionalism throughout this heartache as a Bears fan. And we won't go any further.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Joe Mixon is my guy. I think Joe Mixon had a great game.
Wait a minute.
I had some stats.
I've used Joe Mixon.
You used Joe Mixon?
Yes, but go ahead, you can carry on.
I asked you upstairs if you used Joe Mixon.
Against the Colts, week 1.
I got other guys, but we don't have other B-roll.
Give Joe his flowers, please.
Right. Joe Mixon has been the reason that this team has been good when they aren't.
Yeah.
This is C.J. Stroud's team. This is a passing attack that's supposed to lead the way. They're dinged up right now. And when in doubt,
give it to 28.
we're fixing for Mixon. I mean, Joe Mixon has been the constant for this team. And when he was not there, the weeks he was injured, you saw what he means to this team. I think we saw that again on Sunday. A narrow victory over a divisional foe where the quarterback, the offensive line, the passing attack simply did not have it. Joe Mixon and that defense is going to be enough to get this Houston team deep into these playoffs. Now, when that passing attack gets going again, plus Mixon, plus the defense, scary team there for C.J. Stroud.
Facts.
Mixon is my guy this week. What's impressed you most about the guy who apparently was your guy weeks ago?
Just how fast he has shown his ability to really be a huge, impactful player for the organization. I mean, just remember now, Joe Mixon played his entire career with the Cincinnati Bengals before this season. So when you factor in what he's been able to do and seeing the lack thereov with Cincinnati, oh, they've missed Joe Mixon mightily. And the Houston Texans are super excited and happy that he's a part of their organization because we haven't really seen the aerial attack really take off like we thought we would see. Of course, with a lot of injuries, that's expected. But Joe Mixon has really upped his ante and kind of carried this team until that side of the football is better or healthier. So kudos to Joe Mixon because he's done a great job. He's looking like the Joe Mixon fresh out of college. The legs look fresh, and he's doing a great job in getting some of the dirty yards completed for the Texans.
Difference maker for the Texans and the difference in this game. He's my guy for this week. B-Mac, you're still my guy.
I'm still your guy. I didn't know if he wanted to go Jaden Daniels, you know.
He'll be back next week, maybe. I don't know. B-Mac breaking it down each and every day here on HQ, and that we are thankful for. News, highlights, scores, everything you need 24/7, 365 with our team covering the league you love on CBS Sports HQ.